Scorecards are useful for evaluating anything in business, from hiring new candidates to manufacturers, whatever you can think of. So let me get right to the scorecards. So this is how they work. So you can get to them from the admin dashboard. The employee page will also have them, and you're going to end up in the same screen, just like every other tool. And you've got the ability to change permissions, make things public, for whoever you want to see these items. So right away, I'm going to show you a marketing director hire just so you get the idea of how this works. So this one is already completed. And what we have here is the ability to list criteria that is going to be a 1 to 5 scale. And we also have the ability to add free-form notes. So what I've really liked about this format in the past when I'm hiring is that it keeps everything in one single place. Not only that, but it allows you to have multiple people evaluating the same things across multiple candidates. So normally if you're hiring or if you're evaluating, there's a lot of I think, I feel, the notes could be here and there, and then you forget by the time 3 weeks goes by that you evaluated someone for something and not another, and then you might have to call them to try to make sure you've asked all the questions. That eliminates all of this, and it gets everything in one spot. And again, because of permissions, you can choose who is going to participate and who's going to share, you can collaborate, and then who is not going to. So it makes it really, really nice. So getting started with how this works. So again, criteria is editable along the side, and you've got more criteria down here. You can delete these items if you wish. If you're like, you know what, I don't want any of these, you can just get rid of them. Make sure you hit save in the bottom right. But the idea with this is that you're going to come up with criteria that matter to you the most, and you want to score these. So instead of just saying they've got the skills, they've got the experience, you are going to weight how important each one of those is, and that is going to come across in the score. So the more important something is, like if the role fit is the top thing, you really have to have someone with the skills, then you'd want to mark that one at a higher percent decimal point here of the total percentage than you would something else. So in our example here, we want to make sure this hits 1, that's like 100%. And the overall recommendation is at 0.05%, so that's the least important, all the way up to 0.25, where they take ownership and initiative. So we're saying that that's the most important thing because that's weighted the most. And so you can go through here and see that you can type in the candidate, whether it's a person or manufacturer, whatever it might be. This is their total score here after scoring is complete. You've got spots to put names in for who is doing the scoring. And then down here is more the free form. And you just want to make sure, again, that at the bottom you save every time you make edits, and you can keep moving here and scrolling if you've got lots of candidates. You can also copy this to Excel just like you can with every other tool. You can save CSV or you could email it. And so these features are current as of February 2026, but every day things are getting added and updated. So you never know down the road, there could be more things added to this particular page, but definitely reach out on my site or in comments if you have things that you think could be useful. So in order to do an actual demo here, I'm going to start over with a new one. So you can go to new and type in a title, let's say manufacturers, and you can choose a template. So you can have a completely blank one to get started or one that's set up for hiring. I like these things in particular for hiring. I feel it's an appropriate number. I've used this many times in the past, so that is a template in here already for you, but let's go with blank. And then over here to the right, we've got a score of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 the highest. That is how the scoring works. So the higher the score, the better. And then you've got your public or private, which you can edit at a later point, but let's just say we're going to make this one public and make sure you save. And now we've got our template. So you can go in here, type in the name, make it a change if you want, but this is what you're going to get. So if you're the only scorer, you could keep this and just keep adding candidates. But if you are not the only scorer, you can add scorers in here as well. So if you have 3 people evaluating each candidate, that would work. And then you can add criteria here as you keep going. And so there's the criteria there, and like I said, you can delete these if you wish, you can keep adding, but you've got the scorer names here, you can fill all of that out just like we did in the other example, and then you can start marking your score. And you'll notice that after you put in these totals, it does need to total 1, so you want to make sure that you go through and adjust those. And so like I said, you can upload photos here and make sure you save to keep all of your data. But the idea here is that, again, you have one single place to go. There is collaboration. You can work with your team to be scoring different things, get everyone's feedback and input, but it's all on consistent items. It's not just random, especially if you have, interviews where you've got separate interviews and it's, one-on-ones, then you can put that in here and you're all, like I said, evaluating the same thing. So again, if you've got feedback, put it in the comments or find me on my site.